Howdy, Limo. I'm assuming you can hear me. I haven't done a proper test of this setup, so. Oh. Sounds like it's working. Robot Limo, sorry. Voices coming through nice. This is going to be kind of kludgy. It's a bit jank. I don't know how it's really going to work, but we'll give it our best shot. The video looks okay. We'll give it about a few more minutes, then we'll get started with the tour. Howdy, y'all. Welcome. Thank you for the bits. What you're seeing now is you are currently sitting on top of my main gaming table. This is the bigger table, the one we put the bigger games on, or just whoever gets here first. Group 1 gets to play on this table. There's a smaller, trashier table on the other side of the room that stragglers get to play on when they show up. Is that a gumball machine with dice in it? That is exactly what that is. That is my dice storage solution. So, if we need a die, we just turn that crank. Till a couple dice pop out. Or if we want a specific die, we'll just grab one out of the top. No, I don't believe I'm. I don't believe I want that making noise. Tasty, tasty dice balls. Nugget's all excited because I'm in here instead of in my office. I'm just checking to see if this moves around when I move around the camera. Does Kitty ever try to get on top of the game board when you guys are playing? Totally, all the time. Usually, not until after we've been at it for a while. And then, like the last half of the night, she's always trying to get on the table. All right. Howdy, Shay. I can't eat a bean right now. I don't have them with me. They're not in this room. They're in the other part of the house. Howdy, Cooper Noob Pro. Welcome. Right now, I'm just assuming everybody can hear me. I don't have any kind of feedback right now. Okay. I'm about to take y'all on a wobbly tour of my game room and what I call the nerd shelves. These, that over there, those two. It's gonna be, it's a jank setup. If y'all have any questions about board games or any game in particular, just let me know. When I get through just walking around, I'll sit back down here at the table and I might pull out a couple and show off the insides of it. So we'll get started with this shelf over here. This one is most of the newer games I've got. First, this chair and this thing. This is Fat Cat. I don't remember where I came into possession of Fat Cat, but it's been here for several years. Sound seems good. That's good. An oil Fat Cat? I don't know. It's just a big plush Fat Cat. I don't remember where it came from. Underneath Fat Cat is this. Is a relatively newer board game. It actually requires like a tablet to play. I haven't actually played it yet, but it's got a really cool cardboard submarine that you put together and play on. This box has a card game. This huge box has a card game in it called Sentinels of the Multiverse. I'm going to show that to y'all later. Up here are a bunch of games that I can't seem to get other people to play, but I really like, especially this one. This game is, it says it's a CCG simulator card game. It's an interesting setup. How can you explain it? But you like buy packs of collectible card game cards in it and create decks. And then play with against the other players with those decks you make. It's crazy. I have a lot of my board game accessory type stuff over here. Like these are dice towers. You can use these to roll dice on if you don't have a lot of room. Toss a die in here and it comes out here and it's all contained. Two of those. I got a bunch of little bowls and things to keep board game bits from flying around the table too bad. That's what this setup here is too. Bunch of little trays you can organize bits in while you're playing. Dice Tower means different things in the UK, huh? Oh, die and tower. Oh, yeah. No, not quite the same, I don't think. I've got a bunch of little cat games up here that I like. A lot of these cat games aren't particularly good, but they got cats in them, so of course I'm gonna like them. I don't know how my little mummy meeple fell over. Sparkle Kitty's a fun little word game. Last Call is a game about mixing drinks. No, Nugget doesn't get confused to use those cat boxes, as far as I know. I might open up one of those boxes and find different someday, but if you were watching the pictures I was posting in the Discord, this is the game we were playing last night, the Rococo Deluxe Edition. Here's a game that Canoe always brings up, Lords of Waterdeep. Now, here in this box is a game that a designer sent to me, and I had to put together, but he wanted my group to play test this game for them. So he sent me all the files, and I went and had them all printed out and pasted them on cards, and I put together all these pieces and built this board. And turns out the game wasn't very good. So I spent way too much money on that, but I gave them some, what I thought was some good feedback. But I don't know if they did anything with it. They didn't seem to take it to heart, but the game is in full production now. And I've seen it out in the wild, but I don't care to play it again. Most of these games down here are... I've played most of these. These on the very bottom, I've played some of those, but a lot of these on the bottom two shelves here are games that I've yet to really dive into and learn. Except Role Player. Role Player is a really, really fun game. Was the feedback broader than the game wasn't very good? Yeah, we gave him some very specific details. And he kicked back a bunch of details on how he thought we were wrong. But, you know, that's his prerogative, I guess. Over this way, we've got a cat tree, a treadmill I don't use, a fireplace, a nugget. This shelf has a lot of my older games. This one's pretty new. Cards Against Humanity is pretty new. These two Star Trek Starship Simulators, those are from the 80s. Pitchcar's not that old. Midway's really old. This Snitz game, originally you could only get that in Dragon magazine. They eventually did print out an actual printed thing. Howdy, Aldrin, how's it going? Is Camel Cup where you have to race camels? That is exactly what it is. This is a camel racing game. I don't play this copy because I don't have the expansion, and I think the expansion makes it a much better game. But I'm keeping hold of it in case I ever get hold of the expansion. Do I have a game where I need to mix drinks for the camels? Not as far as I know. I mean, I could combine those two games and mix drinks for the camels if I wanted to. Oh, my chat screwed up. Hold on. Okay, this isn't going to work. I'm just going to put this away. Boom, boom, boom. So, these are a bunch of older games. Now, a while back I was talking about 3M Games used to publish games, and this is one of those. This is from, I think, like 1963. But out of all the 3M games, this one's my favorite. I put this one together out of like 3 less than stellar copies to get a nice, almost pristine copy out of it. Why do I have a plexiglass plate on the table? Because Nugget, you're fine. She just wants pets. You're fine. Oh, she's biting. So the plexiglass plate is, a lot of times, if we got like a really big setup, we'll put the plexiglass over the board and just play with the pieces on the plexiglass. Or there's an even bigger reason we have that, which I'll go over a little later. So on these next 2 shelves, here and here, are most of my war games. A lot of these are solo games. This was a really good 2-player, this Twilight Struggle. This is about the Cold War. Yeah, all of these are solo games, not this one. All of these are solo games. This is a solo game. This one's actually an 8-player game. Here's another really old game that I actually haven't played. These are solo games. That's a solo game. I think this one can be played solo, but it's not necessarily a solo game. And this one's a solo game. But, you know, something for me to play if I lose access to a gaming group. The current Cold War, the old one. This one is basically end of World War II up till the fall of the Soviet Union. This is a really interesting one about, well, B-29 bombers over Japan. And this one also covers the fall of the Soviet Union. I don't think this one is quite as good as this one. But this is a 2-player game. One plays the US, one plays the USSR. It's really good. One of my very favorite. This is my second favorite 2-player game right here. Why are these boxes so thick? Let me fix something right quick. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Okay. Maybe it won't fall out of the cradle I have. Yep, that's one of the 3 cat trees in the house. Howdy, Kelly. How's it going? Do you have cousins that are into board games, Kelly? About Cold War vampires and werewolves? Isn't that a role-playing game? Howdy, Brad. How's it going? Yeah, that plush over there is Fat Cat. Like I was saying, I don't remember where I got it, but it's here. I'll show these games and this one. These Commands and Colors games are ridiculous. Let me show one of those right quick. Oh god, I haven't done this one. These are the pieces. Tons and tons of blocks of wood. And in order to get this one played, I have to take all of these stickers and apply them to all of these blocks. And obviously that hasn't happened yet. Someday. This is actually an expansion to a game. Oh yeah, Commands and Colors Ancients. This is the one. This is the one I've already stickered. So I've already stickered all these and got them in little bags. But there's hundreds and hundreds of these blocks that you got to put stickers on both sides. This game takes a lot of preparation to get ready for play. No, it's not normal. It's not typical. Usually a game will come like, you know, fully printed and everything. You don't have to worry about stickering anything. But this series in particular, this Command and Colors series of games is like that. And I thought that question might come up. So that's why I have this out here. This is how board game pieces are usually packaged. They're printed on a sheet like this, a sheet of cardboard. And you just punch them out as you need. Well, you know, when you open the game, it'll have several of these punch boards. And you just punch the pieces out and sort them however you like. Is Nugget going to play Emmanuel the Emu? She was biting my ankles earlier, so maybe. But for those of you arriving late, this is one thing I'm very proud of. This is my dice storage solution. Just turn the crank and get you some dice. Why don't they just have shaped pieces or cardboard pieces? Because those pieces you stand up on their sides, those blocks. It's a type of war game they call a block war game. It's just how it plays. More Nugget. It's Nugget Cam all over again. I also have a lot of silly stuff up here. Like, this is one of my favorite things. Let's pretend I give a shit and leave it at that. That goes to a different game. And Wafer Thin Mints. Down there, those black boxes are the boxes of secrets. Whenever we have games that have hidden information, I hand out those boxes and people just keep their pieces that they need hidden in those boxes. So nobody will see them. Some cat toys spread around everywhere. They're everywhere. This is a neat game. It comes in a bag. This bag is just chock full of, if I can get the dang thing open. Oh, I think that's another game. This bag is full of wooden pieces. And this is a game about stacking these wooden pieces and not letting them fall over. Including this ridiculous thing. Kraftwagen is a German game. Back in like the 90s and early 2000s, I would say, most board games you'd see in the US like this were German. They came out of Germany. Of course, most of them would be localized. Nugget, what are you doing? Okay, you play with that. I'll leave that to her. Are you having a good time, Nugget? It's a new toy for Nugget. Okay, let's see. Devil Boats. Devil Boats is about PT boats. World War II PT boats. This one's still sealed. I haven't broken that out yet. It's a solo game that I haven't really looked at yet. Some games will look like they're sealed, but I've taken the bottom seal off and left the top seal on. I have opened most of these. This one I haven't. Too intimidated to put those blocks, put those stickers on those blocks. She's had enough. She's had enough of the bag. It's boring. This is our portable air conditioner because it's Texas, it gets hot. Over here are the rest of the games. These are probably the oldest games I've had. Let's see. Why do those GMT games have the titles in different directions? Like, what do you mean? This one is in different directions because it's upside down. Is that what you mean? Atlantic Chase. I don't know. You're going to have to ask the graphic designer those questions. I don't have any control over that. What are those pins on the side of the shelf? Okay. So this one is just a pin they gave out at one of the cons. Any reason why I put some upside down? No, no reason. They just ended up like that. I just throw them back on the shelf when we're done with them. These dice I have up here because these were prizes for coming in first to third at a little trivia thing at a board game convention that they don't do anymore. But we won, I think we got first or second place each year for 2010, 11, and 12. Me and some of my friends. Are those dice safe in the bag? I mean, nothing's gonna happen to them in there. Yeah, the sub icon is this thing here. They call that a meeple. It's a common pawn used in what they call Euro games, which are the games that usually come from Germany. Do I store condoms in a similar way? You mean by nailing them to the wall? No, sorry. But over here are a lot of the games that I've had the longest. What is this? I don't even know what this is. Oh, what is this? I don't know what this is. I know what Canal Mania is, but that goes to this game. I think these are extra parts. In opera, do you have to sing? No, but you run an opera house, and you have to put together, well, you have to purchase music from composers to play in your opera houses. But your question about the plexiglass. The plexiglass is here mainly for these games. All of these games that say rails on them. That also includes this Iron Dragon game. What these are what they call crayon rail games. We put the board underneath the plexiglass, and we use these dry erase markers to draw our rail lines on it. What you're supposed to do is they have wax crayons that you can write on the board with. I don't like to do that, so we use the plexiglass and dry erase markers instead. I'll want to show this one in a little bit too. That one's really cute. This is like one of my favorite economic games. It's pretty crazy. Indonesia. You can barely read the title because the box is so. The graphic design is not the best on that. It's a ton of fun. D-Mocker, another German game. This is about the German electoral system. This one is one of my favorites as well. More cat toys. Carpet stains. No idea how those got there. I think a cat threw up or something. Zek's not too late. It's still going. Carcassonne, yeah. This may have been one of the first board games I ever bought. I got a couple of the expansions in there, but I don't like most of the expansions for this game. I'm not a big expansion person. I only really like board game expansions if they add like a narrative. If the game is a narrative game, like Merchants and Marauders, in this one you're sailing around either being a pirate or being a merchant or being an adventurer. And any expansion that might add stories that you can play through on these types of games, I really like. But a game that just adds a few more mechanics or something to a game that's already good, I don't usually get. Here's that Shrilla Stilla game. That's another German game I've got. I mean, most of these games are out of Germany. Like, Power Grid is made by a guy named Friedemann Friese. The original name of that game is Funkenschlag. These Ticket to Ride games are a lot of fun. These are a lot. Let's see. Ticket to Ride. Is this one? That's not Europe. That's the US map. Ticket to Ride Europe. This is the one. This is the game that got me started on the hobby right there. Oh, here's another really old game. We used to play this in the 80s. A lot of fun blowing each other up with nuclear weapons. Howdy, Marty. Okay, here's Nugget further destroying my blinds so she can look outside. I saw you earlier, Marty. I saw you come in, but I don't remember if I said howdy or not. The little green guy. I'm the boss. I'm the boss. Where's I'm the boss? I know what game you're talking about, but I don't know where oh, over there in the corner. I like that game. None of my friends will play it with me anymore. That is a game about negotiating and making deals. And frankly, I'm too good at it. Nobody will play it with me anymore. Nugget can do whatever she wants. Well, you'll notice I haven't stopped her from doing it, so she just does it. Oh, this is a piece of a meteorite. This was found in North Africa. Oops. Now I've thrown it on the floor. Somebody gave that to me. I don't remember exactly where, but somebody at the college gave that to me. All right, let me show the pieces of this. Never mind this pile of garbage. If I cracked it open to check for aliens, I don't think it's an egg, or at least not anymore. Pretty sure it got thoroughly cracked when it came when it came to the atmosphere. And yeah, it was somebody in the geology department that gave it to me. So this game, Sheer Panic, the best game you ever heard. That's right up Hamster's alley. These are the player boards where it's got your actions on them. You can only use one action, each one of these actions once per game. And your sheep go prancing through the fields, playing their little games, encountering, what's this guy's name? I forget. Go over here until they get over here, and over here they get sheared. Does it feature cutting edge puns? It does, it does. But the best thing about this game is it features pieces like this. And then slaughtered, no, they just get sheared. I know, autofocus, come on, come on. Marty, how do you fix the autofocus? Marty's good at that, not me. This is, oh, this is Roger the Romantic Graham. That's who this is. Kelly going to bed. Good night, Kelly. Bring it up close. Take it away. I don't know. Good night, Kelly. Rest well. Thanks for hopping in, joining us for a little bit. Just putting a hand behind it help. Oh, that does help. Look at that. Pretty cute little sheet pieces. Here's your standard little sheep pawns. They got dots on them to denote which ones are yours. Show the other two again. Okay. Must be a decently priced game. It probably is now because it's done by a company called Mayfair, and pretty sure they've hit pretty hard times. I don't know if Mayfair's even still a thing. She wants to see these. They're not doing anything naughty. One sheep is just cutting the hair off the other. It's a sheep barber. Nothing else is going on here. Right. I don't have the jelly beans in here, hamster. I can't. I'll eat a bean in your honor later. So, this game has been out of print for a long, long time. I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to find it for sale anymore. Trying to find a copyright date on it. Oh, 2006. So what? 16 years old? Yeah. So high production value, out of print game. I could probably sell that for quite a bit now. Over here to the right is my kitchen, but you're not going to see that. Not if I can help it. Excuse me. Don't remember where this game goes. It goes here. So, does anybody have any questions that maybe I missed or you'd like to know? Or do you want to see any of these games up close? Get you a dice? Do you want me to crank the handle and get you a die out of there? Alter. Does Moonrakers ring a bell? I mean, are you talking about... Wasn't there a James Bond movie? Look at that. I got a bunch of dice that time. Two identical ones. You can do some trading. Can I show up the dice tower? Sure. So the dice tower is pretty simple. It's dice catcher inside the tower. You can't really see because it's all black rubberized material in there. But there's a ramp here, and it goes down to another ramp down there so that the dice hits a bunch of surfaces on its way down. So you just drop it in. You probably didn't get to see that. Drop it in at the top. Comes out the bottom. You were on BGG and it was in the hotness list. Honestly, I don't really keep track of a lot of the new stuff anymore. I've got so many games and I've learned so many rule sets that I'm just not that interested in new games anymore. So most anything on that hotness list is probably I've not played it. I may or may not have heard of it. These dice towers are nice because you can just put the tower into the base. Stores really well. Why have you never heard of dice towers? I don't know. I've known about dice towers for ages and ages and ages. I mean, if you're not involved in a hobby that uses dice anyway, I can understand why you wouldn't have heard of them. But role players use them, board gamers use them. What game do I have that takes the longest to play, start to finish? That is a good question. A birdhouse themed dice tower. Nice. Well, there go those dice. Alright, what game do I have that takes the longest to finish? Let's look over here. This game, the lie the box says is 120 minutes. When it says 120 minutes, when it says a time on the side of a box, what that usually means is like for each pair of players. So for like a couple players, it'll take you 2 hours, maybe. For the full 4-player complement, it's going to take you probably 4 hours. But that is not the longest. This game, Churchill, this is sealed because we always play one of my friend's copies. This is about the conferences between the Allies during World War II. That one takes a good while. Let's see. High Frontier takes a while. Space Corp takes a good bit. But I don't think those are the longest. The longest would probably be this one. Federation and Empire. It is about... It's not... It's a big war game. The longer games are the big war games. So that one is probably the longest one. I don't have a lot of big war games, but that one... games other than big war games, I would say probably D-Mocker over here. This is probably my longest not war game. This can go 4 to 6 hours pretty easy. Which one is my all-time favorite? I don't really have an all-time favorite. I've got a favorite for amounts of players. My favorite 2-player game is 1960, The Making of the President. That is, of course, about the election between Kennedy and Nixon. Twilight Struggle is probably my second favorite 2-player game. The next tier is probably 4-player games. My favorite 4-player game is In the Shadow of the Emperor. This is about the Holy Roman Empire, sort of, and becoming electors, and if you can manage it, the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. These are the player pieces, and they've got these aristocrats that you put on the board, and they have influence, and they can elect electors, preferably your own, and the more electors you have, then the better chance you have of becoming emperor. But these numbers around the borders of the piece is how old they are. So every round of the game, you turn this piece so that the top bit is the current age of of the aristocrat. And once they get to 45 and get turned once more, they retire. 1960 is the one I played on stream, yes. Did I also have some weird trade things like Kickstarter? Yes. Although it wasn't Kickstarter, it was, I don't know, some other Kickstarter-like thing. And that was these. These are for storing and organizing game bits while you're playing a game. They got little magnets on the side, so they fit together. You can keep little bits separated. I ordered this in 2017. They finally got around to making it and sending it to me earlier this year. So one round takes 10 years. In that game, generally, yes. The time frame of one turn is around 10 years. Another cat? You mean this? Nugget, what are you doing? She's scratching the carpet. She likes to scratch the carpet. That's not a real cat. It is a false one. Am I happy with it? I mean, it's great now that I've got it. I wasn't upset that it took so long. I mean, COVID happened. So, you know, they had a lot of delays like everybody else. I wasn't worried about it. But I also use these little wasabi bowls for peace organization while we play. Do I use them? We used them last night. So yeah, we use them. There's a cool looking Buffy the Vampire Slayer board game. I'm sure there is. There's a board game about anything. Are there any questions I missed? CSI Miami board game that you've never played. That sounds like something that's probably pretty old. Did I see a box with a cat on it vomiting a rainbow? Yes. I'll show you that. What's the singular form of dice? Die. D-I-E. So, the cat vomiting a rainbow is Sparkle Kitty. In this game, your princess has been locked into the tower. I don't know, are y'all seeing this? I can't really see. I can't really see what's on the screen. It's covered up by a brace for me. So at the top of the tower is your princess. The evil Princess Sparkle Kitty has captured one of these princesses. This is my favorite, Princess Business. You'll hear me refer to this card on Idol Show sometimes. So she goes up there, and what you have to do is on your turn, there's going to be 2 cards out here. We'll say it's Birdie Boo Boo. Now the cards have a symbol and a color. And you're going to have a hand of cards. And when it's your turn, you have to cast a spell. So you have to add a word to this phrase that either matches a color or the symbol. So we can play either a blue, a horseshoe, or a red, or a crown. So let me find a horseshoe. So we can play this out of our hand here, and then we have to recite the spell, Birdie Devastation. If you don't say the words, then you screwed up your turn, and you have to take cards instead of removing cards from your hand. If you remove all the cards from your hand, you get to discard one of the levels of your tower. You have to get rid of all the tower pieces, and you've rescued your princess and won the game. Now, it seems pretty simple, but you can start adding these black cards on, and the phrase gets longer and longer. So now the spell is Perfect Birdie Devastation. And there's a whole bunch of other special cards, like Kitty card does something special. So you put that there, and it would be Perfect Kitty Devastation. And then you, I think this lets you take a card from your tower and put it on somebody else's tower. But this game is absolutely hilarious. I love it. You might think that those cards just came out at random, but no. I specifically found those. Can we spend a weekend at my house playing board games? Absolutely. That would be fantastic. The second Saturday of every month, I host a board game party here at my house. Starts at 1 p.m., goes on until whenever we stop. Last night we stopped at midnight 30. That was a long one. But hey, if you're in town, come on by. We'll play some board games. If I had 3 other people in a call, they could tell me what to do so we could board games with me. I don't know how well that would work. I bought it because of this word right here, kitty. I buy a lot of games about cats. And this one isn't specifically about cats, but look at the box, man. Look at that box. It's freaking hilarious. I think I know what Zach means. So what Zach is talking about is everybody plays on my board on camera, and I have to do all the moving. Wow, I don't know if my back can handle all that. Keep Talking or the Kitty Explodes the board game. There is a board game called Kitten Explosion, I think. Exploding Kittens, that's what it's called. I don't really know much about it. The name doesn't really entice me. Any of my games besides Sheep One have cool standout game pieces. Let's see. I've showed you the block war game. That's pretty outstanding. I'll show you Colosseum right quick. Yeah, it's by that game that makes... Yeah, I don't remember what they're called, but... So this is a game called Colosseum. I have a friend who speaks Latin, and I like to call this Colosseum to make him mad. They've done a reprint of this game, but it's not nearly as nice. Yeah, that Exploding Kitten card game is kind of just a joke game. It's not really even a game. But a couple of unusual things about this game. First thing is, I still have this box insert. Usually, the box insert for a game is so totally useless that it's the first thing I throw away. But this one super neatly organizes all the pieces, and then the board goes on top, and all this stuff goes on top so that it's perfectly in place and nothing gets put out of place. So every time I take it out, everything is perfectly organized. But this one also has some really cool pieces, like these. These are, what's this one? This is a senator, I think, a Roman senator. These are Roman consuls, or maybe these aren't that great, but you can't feel them. They're very heavy and very nice. But the really nice one is, of course, the Emperor. He's got all of his headgear and everything on. But another cool thing about this game is that this isn't a game about gladiators and things like you think about when you hear about a Colosseum game or something. In this game, you're putting on various shows. Alrighty, Altern. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk at you later. Enjoy your dinner. Now, this one does happen to involve gladiators. But like some shows don't have gladiators at all. They've got priests, chariots, other decorations. These are comedians and these are musicians. And if you collect all of these pieces to put on this show, you get the full 35 points. But for every piece you're missing, you're getting less and less points. Because the show's not quite as good as it could be. Oh, I forgot something important. So the pieces you collect to put on the shows are these here. Really nice cardboard pieces. Nice art on them. All right, I want to show something over here right quick. This is the table shaker. Hello, Nugget. This is one board game. This box right here. This is a card game called Sentinels of the Multiverse. And it's about... This game is actually available digitally on Steam now too. But it's about a bunch of comic book heroes getting together to fight some big cataclysmic villain. But the box opens up like this, and it's got all this cool comic book art in it. And each of these are drawers filled with game pieces. Like, these are oversized villain cards that you have to fight. All kinds of tokens and everything. $3.99 for some reason. This holds the villains. Now these are the decks the villains use to fight against you. Just decks of cards that get played as the game goes on. This is a cooperative game. You're playing against the game with several other people. And like I said, this game is also available on Steam. These are some of the heroes. Like this guy's Captain Cosmic. It's all... You draw cards and play cards, much like you'd expect. Also, you might notice that most of my cards have plastic sleeves on them. Imagine how long it took me to put all of these cards into plastic sleeves. More heroes in here. More villains and other stuff in here. And then up here is just a bunch of extra stuff. Rule books, etc., etc. This is probably the biggest game I own. Oh, okay. I just thought of another one. The question about the game with the coolest pieces. Let's take a look at something else. See the Legends of the Drift System. Oh God, it's so heavy. I nearly dropped it. Howdy, Lee. How's it going? I need a new shelf? No. If I got a new shelf, I'd have to spend a bunch of more money filling it up. I definitely don't need a new shelf. So, Lee, this is a game I think you'd like, probably. Now, I went all out on this one. All of these, it's not necessarily a co-op game. There is a winner or a loser, but you don't have to come into conflict either. Howdy, Lego. I'm sorry I can't do webcam right now. I'm not at my computer. But I bought an organizer for this game. All of these compartments that the game pieces are in are made out of laser edged wood. All nice and neatly organized in the cards and the game board pieces. Excuse me, Nugget. I'm sorry. But the coolest thing is these. This contains the ships that you use in the game. This flips over. Then you can pull out the ships you want to use. And these are the level 1 ships. The level 2 ones are a little bigger. The level 3 ones are the biggest. The coolest. No Winnebago. Although there's some... I mean, this is Winnebago-ish. Sorry, Lego, I don't have the beans in here. And there's Nugget's tail. They do kind of look like F-Zero cars, kind of. They are very cool ships. And thankfully, I didn't have to paint these. They came pre-painted. These are the NPC ships and pieces. Some of these are quite large indeed. And then these are supposed to be comets. Yeah, these wood holders are from a different company. And I don't remember the name of it right off. But they're a third-party edition that I bought separately for organizing this huge game. But everything fits perfectly in here. Very handy. This game is very cool. I love this one a lot. I like this one a lot. This one is a lot like that Merchants and Marauders game I was talking about, except, of course, in space. And you can be a bounty hunter, or an adventurer, or a merchant, or anything you like. Or even if you're, like I said, it's not a cooperative game, but it's not necessarily a conflict game. You can, like, pirate other players' ships, but what you're pirating is basically you're flying to where that other player's ship is, grabbing something off of their ship, but it's something they don't even know is there. So basically, you're just going to that player's ship, making a roll to see if you get a MacGuffin, and then make off with it. The other player doesn't even care that you take it. Can you sell cookies? You can pretend to be a Fuzzy Biscuit ship if you want to. But if you like big, epic adventures, I can recommend this game. This is very good. The lie the box tells is 1 to 3 hours. What? I would say if you play this game, you want to... actually, you can start... an advanced game that lasts a shorter amount of time. So you can, if you only have like a couple hours, you can play a 2-hour game. But if you want the full experience, you're going to play maybe around 5 hours. Well, they start out as fluffy biscuits, but if you leave them out too long, they become fuzzy biscuits. You'd be afraid to spill or drop some of these games. The main fear I have is one of these boxes dropping and splitting the corner. This box is super thick. Not real afraid that this box is going to tear, but I do have some boxes with split corners, and that's the most frustrating thing. It makes them harder to store, mainly. Did anybody have any other questions? Good game for a special extended edition Idol Show episode? My God, how would we do that? How? It's like Zach was saying. I would have to orchestrate the entire thing on Tabletop Sim. I'm sure this thing is on Tabletop Sim. It would take a long time, but we could save it. It's doable. There's a lot of reading, though. It's a lot of reading, so you're going to have to convince Mark. Oh, something I can think of to talk about is like themes. I like games... I like mechanisms in games, but I also like a game to have a good theme. I don't like a dry, solely mechanical game. So like I said, I have games about other games. Games about being a tailor. Will we ever get a D&D stream? No, never. This is a game about, it's about an art gallery. Primordial Soup, also called Soup. This is a German game localized for the U.S. or the English market. It's about amoebas swimming around and eating other amoebas' poops. Vino is about the winemaking industry. So they're not all war games, and they're not all just roll and move and do what the space tells you games. Like Kraftwagen here is about the automotive industry. Some of them don't have strong themes at all. Like Dixit is you show pictures. You come up with a short phrase, and then people try and guess which picture you're talking about, or try to trick other people into thinking that you were talking about their picture. And of course, Colosseum we went over, that's about putting on shows in a coliseum, not necessarily gladiatorial combat. This is about railroads, baseball. Ursupe to Ursupe. Ursuppe. It's got pee-pee in it. Pitch car. This game is actually in that blue box down there. But it's a bunch of wooden track pieces, and you flick car pieces along the track. I have games where I have to lie to the other players. I'm absolutely certain I do. Civilization is a game where you trade cards. And you can trade disasters to other players. But of course, you lie to them and tell them, no, there's no disasters. I'm not going to trade you a disaster. I wouldn't do that. Chinatown is another deal-making game where you do not have to uphold the deal if you don't want to. Of course, nobody's ever going to trade with you again if you lie all the time. So, games where you tell lies. I'm the Boss is another one like that. Battlestar Galactica, down there in the bottom shelf. That is a co-op game with a trader element in it. So some players are Cylons. The human players are trying to get to Earth, and the Cylon players lie and deceive their way to try and make the humans fail to get to Earth. So there's a lot of lying and deceit in that one. One or more players is a mole in that game. If you have enough players, you can have 2 Cylons and like 4 humans. Oh, yeah. Here's one. This one, Sheriff of Nottingham. This one, you are merchants getting goods to market. But sometimes you have really valuable contraband goods. And you have to negotiate with the sheriff. You're not allowed to... you tell the sheriff that you've got one type of good and a certain amount of goods. Like you could tell him, I've got 4 apples. You can't lie about the amount of goods you have, but you can lie about not carrying contraband and try to sneak it past him. Now he's probably gonna, if he suspects, he can ask for a bribe. So you can sort of deal with him. But you can call the sheriff's bluff. But if he calls your bluff, and you do have contraband, then you have to pay him. But if he inspects your goods and you don't have contraband, he has to compensate you for your time. So that one's a lot of fun. A lot of fun deceit. You remember watching, what's his name? He played that one on his tabletop show on YouTube. Although they weren't playing it right. They were playing it weird. Here's a game about the fashion industry. Yeah, this game is great to play when drunk. Will Wheaton, that's right. This game, we've played this on Idle Show. This is the version I have. But this is about one player's the ghost, and the ghost can't communicate with the other players. All the other players are psychics. So in between turns, the ghost sends picture cards in the form of dreams, or dreams in the form of picture cards. Yes, this is Mysterium, but I have the Polish version, and I call it Alphabet Mansion because it's got every letter you could want on there, and a picture of a mansion. And this one's about the oil industry. This one's about coffee traders. I think Hamster had a question earlier about political games. I think it was, are a lot of games political themed, or is that just a me thing? Basically, there are a lot of political games. It's a common theme in Euro games, but I've got a lot of them because I particularly like them. That's a thing that's right up my alley. Anything with politics, elections, economic games. I really like those. This is a game about getting ships through the Panama Canal. Betrayal at House on the Hill is really good. That's a very narrative, story-based game. That's also co-op with a trader element. This one here. This one is about genetics, Mendelian genetics. This one's about getting cattle to market. This one is about a panda eating bamboo. They come in all kinds of different themes and interesting stuff to play. Bought Mysterium right before the pandemic. I really like Mysterium. It's a lot of fun. I like it mainly because all the players are playing together. It's a co-op game. But one of the players can't talk to the other players. They can only communicate in images. I really like that. Yeah. A lot of money has gone into these games and the production of them, and it gets better and better all the time. I like it because Lee needs to mute himself. Whatever it takes. I don't know what else to talk about. Unless y'all have some specific questions. I've shown everything. Shown off some of the really cool stuff, I think. Does anybody want to know anything specific? Not only about the games I have here, but about board game hobby in general? No, you don't see Monopoly. A lot of the traditional games don't have a place on my shelves. I don't want to sound snooty, but those aren't really the type of games we get out. Does she ever step on the table with the board? Yes, she does that all the time. Chess, I find chess to be pretty boring. Chess is a lifestyle game, and it's not my lifestyle. If you want to play chess, you have to make your whole life chess. Is there collectibles the way there are with Pokemon cards? A lot of people consider Pokemon cards part of the hobby. So the answer to that question technically is yes. I consider Magic the Gathering part of the board gaming hobby. I consider card games part of the board gaming hobby. So yeah, there's collectible card games, and there have been collectible miniature games also. I don't have Pokemon cards. I don't have any collectible cards. any of my board games that I have get played in tournaments or anything like that. There is a board game tournament convention that goes on. I don't think they've done it for a couple years, mainly because of the pandemic. But train games especially, games like Age of Steam, they have tournaments for them, and regular games. What did I miss? Does she ever step on the table with a board? Yes. What does Nugget do while we play games? I mean, that's what this is for. She sits right up there most of the time. Or she runs around on the floor and scratches at the carpet, or she gets on the table every now and then. Nugget gets overstimulated when there's a lot of people in the house. So she does a lot of running around. She doesn't get scared, but she gets kind of antsy and she starts running around, getting in the way and jumping up on tables. Did I ever get into the Warhammer style of games? I guess the closest thing to Warhammer that I ever got into and am still into is BattleTech. I got a bunch of BattleTech stuff still, but it's all in the closet over there and isn't really that interesting to see. Just a bunch of maps, really, and books. But speaking of Warhammer, that's what this is, this relic game. If you ever played Talisman, this is basically a Warhammer-themed Talisman. You'd be that person that eats while we play board games. That's what these are for. People can eat at the table if they want. But it's got to be on these TV trays. Is Vino about drinking wine? Vino is about it's not about running vineyards, it's about owning vineyards. This game, Viticulture, these two boxes, is about owning a vineyard, running a vineyard. I have a game up here called Twilight Imperium, an epic board game of galactic conquest. Now that one probably could potentially take 6 to 8 hours to play. That's also a very big one. The reason I have these TV trays is because we had this very expensive game out on the table, Twilight Imperium, and I had a glass of wine on the table, and I knocked it over.